It's strange how we say we're independent and don't want to belong to any group, but in reality, things are very different. This often starts in childhood. You want something, but your parents make a face or show disapproval, so you repress yourself. That's the first moment you stop choosing yourself without noticing it. These are micro-quittings, saying yes when you want to say no, staying quiet when you want to speak, and slowly starting to live on autopilot. When everything looks fine on the outside, that kind of stability can become an open-door cage. It feels safe, but it's still a trap. Sometimes your brain confuses being comfortable with being at peace. Society rewards easy, agreeable people, and little by little we start losing our identity without realizing it. The process isn't dramatic. It's made of small, honest decisions. Life is short, and choosing ourselves begins with small actions repeated until we recognize ourselves again. I meant that many times we think we're independent, but since childhood, we learn to repress what we want to keep others comfortable. These small moments become micro-quittings that lead us to live on autopilot and confuse stability with peace. When we finally start choosing ourselves, people get upset because they were used to the comfortable version of us. I think people stop choosing themselves because they want to be liked, to belong, and to keep everything peaceful. Many people don't choose themselves first because they're afraid of being excluded. Maybe the smallest step we can take is to admit that we're afraid of loneliness. But the biggest loneliness isn't being without people, it's being disconnected from ourselves. It's better to recognize that we are complete on our own, and from that place we can give others the opportunity to do the same. Choosing yourself is a daily practice. Vocabulary of the day. Micro-quittings, small self-abandonments. To live on autopilot. To repress. Stability versus peace. To belong, to be liked. To lose identity. Small, honest decisions. To recognize yourself again. Dialogue. You ever notice how people talk about being independent, like they've got everything figured out? Totally. But the funny thing is, most of us learn to shrink ourselves way before adulthood. One tiny reaction from someone we loved, and suddenly we start hiding parts of who we are. And then it becomes automatic, right? You say yes to avoid tension. You stay quiet to keep the peace, and little by little you forget what you actually want. Exactly. From the outside, everything looks stable, but inside it feels like you're living in a cage that doesn't even need a lock. And the worst part? You start confusing comfort with peace. You think you're fine until someone asks you what you really want, and you realize you don't have an answer. That question hits hard. It's like your brain goes blank because you've spent years choosing what keeps everyone else comfortable. And when you finally start choosing yourself, people act like you're doing something wrong. But really, they're just reacting to the version of you that made their life easier. Yeah, and that's the moment you realize choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's survival. It's remembering you exist. And it doesn't have to be dramatic. It's small, honest decisions. Saying no without guilt. Admitting what scares you. Taking up space again. And little by little, you reconnect with yourself. Until one day you look in the mirror and think, there you are. I've been looking for you. Story. There was a moment in their life when everything looked perfectly fine from the outside, the kind of stability people admire. But inside, something felt strangely hollow, like they were living a life that didn't fully belong to them. They couldn't pinpoint when it started, but if they looked back far enough, they remembered small moments from childhood. Tiny reactions, disappointed faces, comments that weren't meant to hurt but still taught them to shrink. Little by little, they learned to choose what kept others comfortable instead of what felt true to them. And the strange thing is that it didn't feel like a sacrifice. It felt like survival. Like the safest way to move through the world. Years later, they realized they had become experts at disappearing in plain sight. They were present, but not fully. They laughed, but not deeply. They agreed with things they didn't believe in just to avoid the discomfort of being honest. And one day, without any dramatic event, they simply woke up with a quiet question echoing inside them. When did I stop choosing myself? That question didn't come with an answer, but it came with a feeling, a soft, persistent pull towards something they hadn't felt in years, themselves. Not the version shaped by expectations, but the one that existed before they learned to shrink. At first, Choosing themselves felt uncomfortable, almost rebellious. Saying no felt rude. Admitting what they wanted felt risky. But something inside whispered that the real risk was continuing to disappear. People around them didn't always understand. Some even resisted the change, not because it was wrong, but because they were used to the version that never made waves. But for the first time, that didn't stop them. They started making small, honest decisions, tiny acts of self-recognition. And with every choice, they felt a little more alive, a little more present, a little more like someone they used to know. Until one morning, they looked in a mirror and didn't see a stranger anymore. They saw someone real, someone whole, someone who had finally come back home to themselves. Thank you for being here. You just watched the Magic English Experience. To all current subscribers, I truly appreciate you. And if you're new, I hope today's topic inspired you to choose yourself a little more every day. See you in the next video.